Hello friend, welcome back to Auto Resource YouTube channel and welcome back to the project Impreza. I was busy whole day in my shop working on other cars and finally I'm done. It's 5 p.m. and the lift is free. So let's bring her in and see actually how much she's broken. In the previous video I gave you a walk around, just a peek underneath the hood, but we don't know, or you don't know, what is happening underneath the car. And let's start with using the computer reader, right, scanner, and let's see if there are any codes in the computer. So I have it here in the car. This is where the OBD2 connector is, right underneath the dash. Obviously I have to put the key in the ignition and that will allow me to read the codes. Let's see what we have happening here. Cross fingers that there's nothing bad happening with it. Wonderful. Actually, I'm ready to go for a smoke. This is fantastic. Here in California, there are 0 codes. When I bought her, I did that obviously as an inspection, but the EVAP was still flashing and the light was, instead of green, it was yellow. It wasn't ready, but look at it. This is perfectly ready for the smoke here in California. Excellent. Obviously I'm very relieved because smoke is one of the problems right here, and if you don't pass it you cannot finish the registration. So this is big deal. I love it. Let's continue. Let's put her on the lift and see how she's looking. Not only I want to see here, this entire part was hanging, there is a broken zip tie, so for this moment, oh, did you see that sound again? Right now when I'm trying to establish what it needs and really learn about the shape in which she is, I don't want to have this cover here, right? That's for later, and it will be all fixed and ready to be driven all the time. But right now this needs to go. Oh yeah, there's so much sand in it. I'm so happy I'm taking it off. Look at it. By the way, she was here first time in my garage. She was on the other side, parked overnight, and when I moved her in the morning, then was quarter size of oil, right? The little puddle, quarter size of the engine oil, and also quarter size of the coolant, green coolant. So let's go and see what's happening. And you will see it right immediately. When you look on the bottom, these bolts, there just wants to be drip, just happen every second, right? The thing is, what his problem is, there is not only engine oil, but there's also, if you look very carefully, you'll use this light, you will find out, you will actually see right there is a green coolant, and it's coming from, unfortunately, from the engine, and that's coming from the heads. Both heads, in my opinion, are leaking. This head gasket, right, I believe leaks only engine oil at this moment. This one, this head gasket on this size, leaks engine oil and the coolant. So we have all these drips, right? It's all over the steering. It's typical, right? There is the steering, it's all wet, wrapped in the oil. I don't believe it's a steering fluid, right? It's all from that engine. On the contrary, if you look on the radiator, I don't see any leaks from there. So that coolant was unfortunately again coming from right here. Oh, I hope it will not drip on this super expensive camcorder. Yeah, right here is a coolant. You see it finally, hopefully the green little thing is going to fall off. Right here, right, at head gasket. So typical, so typical. So the engine definitely, I will say, should be rebuilt. That's why I'm calling her project Impreza, because there's nothing really good happening. Yet she's running relatively strong, right? And it doesn't have to be done like today or tomorrow. Now, if you look on the CV axle, on the boots, right, everything's fine. A surface rust, not much of it. It's not rust free, but it's, I will say, just a surface rust, right? No problems here, definitely not at all. I turn around all the wheels. The front ones seems to be okay. Tires, not much left on the front tires, right? Are kind of almost on the marks right here. So that should be dealt with sooner or later. The exhaust seems to be okay. Again, there is that oil on it, right? And if we continue, this is transmission, right? So that's the filter, tranny filter right here. There's a very slight seepage of the transmission fluid. This one takes Dexron 3, right? So it's a very affordable and cheap fluid. I will definitely go and either drop the pan off, it's possible, or at least flush it and replace the filter. Now, why shall I do that? Do you see that yellow part? That's a transmission dipstick. When we opened the hood with this owner, he even didn't know where it is. And guess what? We couldn't remove that dipstick. It was fully stuck in there. But might be first time ever for me that I saw something like that, that you cannot even pull the dipstick. And here comes the reason for that nice sound. From here back, that's a custom, right? That's not original Subaru Impreza. I believe this is resonator. This part, it seems to be welded. There is some aftermarket muffler with that exhaust tip, and that's why it has relatively really nice sound, that deep rumble, right? The business back in here, the CV axles are good, nothing is ripped. There is a little bit of oil here, right? If you compare it, this one's dry, this one is a little bit wrapped in the oil, so there might be leak on the seal on this side, possible. Obviously I will need to recheck, right? This is a filler, this is a drain, so there should be level right below this opening. Here these parts are pretty okay, except this wheel makes way more noise than it should. Let me show you what I mean with that. Let's start with the driver's side, the one which is behaving normally. So what you hear there, right, that's just the brake pads. It's nothing problematic. I'm checking for that. I'm trying to check for both ways, right? For the bearing in different positions. This one seems to be good. And this is the passenger side I was talking about, the rear passenger, right? Listen to this one. But there's no really play. I keep trying. If there is a play for the bearing, failed bearing, there's not a play, but the sound is there. The humming, right? Bearing humming sound is there. So if you drive this vehicle, you immediately see that on the test drive there is a deep humming from the back. It's coming from here. On the test drive I didn't know yet. I was thinking, oh, maybe it's a rear differential, right? Maybe there's absolutely no oil in it and it's making the humming. Well, I rather deal with the bearing, replacing the bearing in one wheel, than replacing entire differential. But of course we said I need to inspect for the level. But if you listen, it's coming from the wheel, it's coming from there, it's not coming, the sound is not coming from here. One more thing on the passenger side, I remember from the test drive, if you look on the strut towers here, there's no oil presence. It's the opposite on the front. here, this is completely leaked out. Look how much oil leaked out of that shock. So this strut definitely either rebuilt or complete replacement. The front wheels, they don't make any noise, right? Very quiet. Nothing's happening. I believe this strut either leaked a million years ago, but I think it didn't leak. It's still okay, but generally when you're replacing struts, you are replacing both sides. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of idea where she is, right? Where this 2002 Impreza is, and amount of work which needs to be done that she can be driven proudly and happily for years to come. I'm pretty sure I forgot something, right, while really quickly walking around and underneath the Impreza, but it doesn't matter. If I did, I will show it to you in the next videos. This should be series, right, where we all learning and seeing how these cars are, what kind of maintenance they need, and possibly some modifications. So please be subscribed. I will have way more videos about this car coming your way in the future. Thanks for watching and have a great day.